Hello each and everyone, the one who is watching my video. This is Ankita, your commerce educator, welcoming you to Global Online, where we are taking classes for NET and SET exam preparation. In today's lecture, I am going to discuss 10 most important or a most accepted MCQ on legal aspect unit. ये लेक्चर देखने के बाद आपको पता चल जाएगा कि एग्जाम में किस तरह के क्वेश्चन पूछे जाते हैं। लेक्चर देखने के बाद अगर आपके जो सारे डाउट है ये क्लियर हुए या नहीं, ये देखने के लिए हम आपके लिए लेकर आए हैं फ्री इवैल्यूएशन टेस्ट। ये टेस्ट देने के लिए आपको हमारा जो ऐप है ग्लोबल ऑनलाइन वो अपने प्ले स्टोर से डाउनलोड करना पड़ेगा, जहां पर आपको ये लोगो दिखेगा। डाउनलोड करने के बाद आपको उसके स्टोर में जाना है और अपना जो पेपर है यूजीसी नेट कॉमर्स पेपर 2 वो सिलेक्ट करना है। सिलेक्ट करने के बाद उसके कंटेंट में जाना है और कंटेंट में जाने के बाद आपको जो टेस्ट है वो मिल जाएगा। ये जो टेस्ट है वो सभी स्टूडेंट के लिए फ्री है। ओके, और एक इम्पोर्टेंट बात, ग्लोबल ऑनलाइन आपके लिए लेकर आया है कॉमर्स पेपर 2 कोर्स, जहां पर आपको मिलेंगे कंप्लीट वीडियो लेक्चर, मोर देन 100 वीडियो लेक्चर्स वी आर प्रोवाइडिंग यू, नोट्स वो भी डिटेल एक्सप्लेनेशन के साथ, टेस्ट सीरीज विद द डिटेल एक्सप्लेनेशन, प्रीवियस ईयर पीडीएफ विद द डिटेल एक्सप्लेनेशन। द ड्यूरेशन ऑफ द कोर्स इज 1 ईयर और इसकी जो फी है वो इंक्रीज हो गई है और वो अब है 7000। अगर आप ये कोर्स लेते हैं तो पेपर 1 का जो कोर्स है वो आपको हम फ्री में प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं। डोंट वेट फॉर द लास्ट मोमेंट, डू ज्वाइन अवर कोर्स एंड क्लियर योर अपकमिंग एग्जाम। And the agreement is not enforceable by a law, it is said to be. In a given question they ask you, and the agreement which is not enforceable by a law, it is said to be. For this, the options given are void. A void agreement has a no legal effect, and the agreement which does not satisfy the essential element of a contract is called a void. Then is voidable. Voidable is a term typically used with the respect to the contract that is valid and binding unless the voidable or declare the void by a party to the contract who is legitimately exercising the power to avoid a contractual obligation. Third option is valid. Valid contract is well grounded as a valid objection producing the desired result, valid method having a legal force. And last option is enforceable or do illegal. And an enforceable contract or a transaction is a one that is a valid but one the code will not enforce. Enforceable is usually used in the contradiction to the void and a voidable. The correct answer for this question will be option number A. An agreement not enforceable by a law, it is said to be void. Okay. And the agreement is a voidable contract when it is, in a given question they ask you, the agreement is said to be a voidable contract when it is. Now first of all understand what is agreement. Agreement is like a contract between two or more parties where they agree to do something. For this the first option is enforceable if a certain condition are fulfilled. Second option is enforceable by a law at the option of aggrieved party. Third option is enforceable by both the party, and the last option is not enforceable at all. For this the correct answer will be option number B. And the agreement is a voidable contract when it is enforceable by a law at the option of aggrieved party. Next question here is consideration. In this question they ask you about a consideration. If you look at the definition of a consideration according to the section 2 clause D of the Indian Contract Act 1872, it is a explicitly stated the promisee or any other person. This essentially means that in India consideration may move from the promise to any other person. For this the first option given is must be moved from the promisee. Here the promisee is a person whom the promise has been made. Second option is may move from the promisee or any other person. Third option is may move from the third party. Third party is the person who is primarily involved in the situation except the two party who are actually there. And the last option is may move from the promiser. Promiser is a person who make the promise. The correct answer here is option number B. Consideration may move from the promisee or any other person. The contractual capacity of the company is regulated by. In a given question, they ask you the contractual capacity of company is regulated by which of the following. And for this, the first option is it's a memorandum of association and a provision of Company Act 1956. The memorandum of association is the document of a great importance in relation to the proposed company. It contains the fundamental condition upon which alone the company is allowed to incorporate. It is a character of a company and it defines the company's reason for the existence. Second option is the term of a contract entered into with the third party. Third party contract are an agreement that involve a person who isn't a party to a contract but it involved with the transaction. This person may be buyer representing one of the party. About a third party contract, think of a third party as an individual who isn't directly involved in the transaction but may be affected by it. Okay. Third option here is it's an article of association. Now the article of association is the document which prescribes the rules and bylaws from the general management of the company and for the attainment of its object as given in the memorandum. It is a document of a significance in the life of a company as it contains the regulation for the international administration of the company's affair. And the last option is its prospectus. Prospectus is an issue by a public company for offering its security to the public. It is a legal document containing the information as prescribed by the Security and Exchange Board of India and issued at the provision mentioned in the section 26 of a Company Act 2013. The contractual capacity of a company registered under Companies Act 1956 is regulated by Memorandum of Association, provision of Companies Act, both Clause 1 and Clause 2. That means the answer for this question will be option number A. It's a Memorandum of Association and the provision of Company Act 1956. The next question here is the collateral transaction to an illegal agreement are, and the options given are void. A void agreement has no legal effect. An agreement which does not satisfy the essential element of a contract is a void. Then is illegal. Third option is voidable. A contract voidable is a term typically used with respect to the contract that is a valid and binding unless the avoidable or declared avoid by the party to the contract who is a legitimately exercising the power to avoid a contractual obligation. And the last option is not affected at all. Collateral agreement refer to the transaction associated or incidental to the main agreement. The law strictly prohibited such an agreement. Hence, entering into the illegal agreement is called a punishable offense in the eyes of law. That means the answer for this question will be option number B. That is illegal. The next question here is Section 128 of Indian Contract Act 1872 provide. In a given question they ask you Indian Contract Act 1872 under which one section is there, that is section 128 which provide, and for this the options given are security liability. Security liability means the liability of the security is coextensive with that of the principal debtor unless it is otherwise provided by contract. Second option is Continuing guarantee. The guarantee which extended to the series of a transaction is called continuing guarantee and it is under section 129. Please remember this. Third option is revocation of continuing guarantee. Continuing guarantee can be revoked by a notice, by a debt of a security and by variance in the term of contract between the debtor and a creditor. Section 129 of Indian Contract Act 1872 defines the continuing guarantee as a guarantee which extends to the series of a transaction is called a continuing guarantee. Continuing guarantee under 129. Please remember this. Don't forget this because you may receive question on this. And the last option is consideration for guarantee. Consideration in a contract of a guarantee, anything done or any promise made for the benefit of a principal debtor may be sufficient consideration to the security for giving the guarantee. In other words, something done or any promise made for the benefit of a principal debtor is presumed by a law to be sufficient consideration in the contract of the guarantee. The answer here for this question is option number A. Section 128 of Indian Contract Act 1872 provides securities liability. The next question here is the Sale of a Good Act was enacted on. Here they ask you about the Sale of Good Act. The Sale of a Good Act 1930 was law enacted in the conical pre-independence India for the benefit of merchant in India. The act related to the contract for the sale of a good for all the state of India except for Jammu Kashmir. The contract of a sale include the agreement on the part of a buyer as well as that of the seller. For this the options given are 15 February 1930, second option is 1st July 1930, third option is 15 April 1930 and last option is none of the above. The correct answer here is option number B. The Sale of a Good Act was enacted on 1st July 1930. The next question here is Controller of Certifying Authority, that is CCA, work under. In a given question they ask you the CCA work under, and for this the options given are Prime Minister Office, second option is Reserve Bank of India, that is RBI. RBI is India's central bank and regulated body and responsible for the issue and the supply of Indian rupee and the regulation of Indian banking system. It manages the country's main payment system and work to promote is the economic development. Third option is Ministry of Communication and IT. Ministry of Communication is a union ministerial agency under the Government of India responsible for telecommunication and postal services. It is a curve out of a Ministry of Communication and the Information Technology on 19 July 2016. And last option is autonomous body. Autonomous body is set by the government for the specific purpose. It is independent in the day-to-day functioning, but the government has some control over the autonomous body. The answer here for this question is option number C, that is Ministry of Communication and IT. A promisee is, in a given question they ask you who is promisee, and for this the options given are the person who make the promise. The person who make the promise is called a promiser and not the promisee. Okay. Second option is a person who monitors the statement of intention of two parties. Third option is the person to whom the promise is made, and the last option is none of the above. A promise is the commitment by someone to do or not to do something. As a known promise means declaration assuring that one will or will not do something. As a verb, it means to commit oneself by promise to do or give. It can also mean the capacity of good similar to the value that is realized in the near future. Okay. In promise, there are two persons. The person who make the promise and person to whom the promise is made. Okay. That means the promiser and a promisee. The person who makes the promise is called a promiser, and the person to whom the promise is made is the promisee. That means the answer for this question is option number C. The next question here is an official liquidator is appointed by. In a given question they ask you who appoint the official liquidator. For this the first option is manager, second option is a court of competent jurisdiction. Competence and jurisdiction in the law, the authority of the court to deal with the specific matter. Competence refers to the legal ability of the court to extract the jurisdiction over the person or a thing that is a subject to the suit. Okay, and a jurisdiction, that which is a competent court may exert at the power to hear and determine the suit in the court. Third option is the board of a director. Board of a director is the executive committee that jointly supervises the activity of an organization, which can be either for a profit or a non-profit organization such as a business, non-profit organization or the government agency. And last option is central government. Official liquidator is the officer appointed by the central government under section 448. Please remember this. Okay, of the Companies Act 1956 and are the attached to the various high court. The official liquidator are under the administration charges of the respective regional director who supervise their functioning on behalf of the central government. That means the answer here for this question will be option number D, that is central government. The last question for today's lecture which you have to answer. The question here is a Contract Act 1872 consists of how many sections? For this the options given are 238, second option is 248, third option is 266 and last option is none of this. Please write your answer in the comment box. I am waiting for your answer. Till then, keep watching, keep learning.